Welcome back, it's Mr. Baumgarten here, and we are at that point where we're actually going to start creating our virtual pet. We've done our introduction to Python, we've learned how to interact with the ESP32 CYD device, we've learned how to draw things on the screen, we've learned how to detect touch presses, we've learned how to draw pictures on the screen, we've learned how to access the internet and download material from it. We're going to start bringing all of that together and create our project now. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop over into my settings area, and I went here before just to remove my password. And I'm going to enter in, you will have been given an API key by your teacher. And I'm going to enter that in here so that it keeps it private. This is effectively like the password to access the virtual pet service. So we don't want this to be publicly accessible, so we'll put it here in our settings where it can't be seen by everyone else. And so it's a big long code. A couple of other things I'm also going to put here is my pet name, and I tend to work on the convention of putting things like settings in all caps. These are basically using the convention that if it's something that I never want to change, I'm going to use all caps. If it's a variable where I might want to change its value later on, then I'll do that in lowercase. You can use whatever you want, but this also helps avoid name conflicts if I have a variable called lowercase pet name later on or something like that. So I'm going to call this one, this is Mario, because that's the pictures that I've been using here. So my pet name is Mario, and you've also been given a pet ID number by your teacher. So for Mario, that's just 07W3SP. These are case sensitive, uppercase, lowercase have to match. Right, so so my API key 3C42 B87. Type out the full thing, and then I'll come back to here. Right, I'm back and I've finished updating my settings, so I'll just check that those work. So for instance, if I just print pet name, right, and I print my pet ID, right, then you'll see, and I'll comment out the Wi-Fi so this works quickly. Hit run, and we'll see that, okay, there's my pet name and my pet ID. So those things that I entered into settings have come across into main because I've got from settings import star. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to create a function that will show us our dashboard, and our dashboard connects to the pet network, and so it says, hey, I'm here, log me in, and it will then tell you how many points you have at the moment when you've connected. Now, this is the API documentation that I've prepared and will be on my website, on the Tamagotchi page with everything else. But obviously I'm in the process of creating these things, so it's not there yet, but this is what will be there, right? So this is the post information, these are the headers that I need to provide. So we need to provide my key, and I need to provide a content type header, and I need to provide a data JSON that has the name that I want the system to remember for my pet. And then in response, it's going to tell me, okay, this is the pet name I recorded, this is your name, so it's checking that you've logged in as the correct person, and this is also your pet number, and it will tell me my balance. So let's have a go at getting all of that up and running. Now, because registration is something that I'm going to want to happen and logging in and doing my dashboard, I want it to happen fairly often. I'm going to put it into a function so I can write it once and then just use it several times. And so I'm going to call this function define, and I'll actually come all the way up to the top. All right, define show dashboard. Dashboard helps if I can spell correctly again. Okay, so what do I want to happen inside my dashboard? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear whatever else was on the screen. So colors black. And I'll just put there a nice little message so I know what's going on. So I shall say draw the text at the top left top left corner, and I can just say fetching. Right, so I know what that it's fetching the data from the network. Use my font, colors dot, this can just be in gray, and colors black for the background. Right, so now let's actually connect to the pet service. Right, so we're going to do our response equals requests dot post again. Okay, so this is a post, not a get request, and I need to put in my website. So my URL. Now, just keep in mind, depending upon how discussions have gone at the school, this address may change. So do keep an eye on that, because I will be having a discussion with the school IT people to see if they can set up a server for it instead of having to run off my own website. So more information on that to come. But the URL at the moment is that. So that's the basic URL. And then for things like registration, there's going to be a /register on to the end of it. But what I'll do is I'll keep that as the base, and then so I can reuse it for all the other fetch requests as well. So here I'll just say URL plus on the end of that we're going to stick the word register. Right, and so that's where I'm going to get my request from. And then I need my headers information. So my headers, right, there was two things I have to provide here. I had to provide my X API key, and you'll remember that I already have that from my settings. So I can just say retrieve that thing that I had called API key. And then the other thing that I have to send along was this value asking for content type of application JSON. So that's my headers, comma on the end of that. And then I also had to provide some data. So data that I have to send, right, is my pet name. And so I'm going to say I need to convert it into this JSON format. So it's UJSON dump a string from, right, this is a little, I realize this is a little technical. This is pet name. This is lowercase because if we go to the website here, right, the data package that it's asking for, it wants a variable where pet name is in lowercase. Right, so you have to comply with what so this is what I'm sending to the website, even though in my settings I have it in all caps. So you'll see that where I'm saying, okay, retrieve it, retrieve what I've got, what I created in my settings as all caps. Pet name, close the curly braces, close the parentheses, and I think that's it. So I can now also close the parentheses for the post. All right, so you can see where I close it, the opening one got highlighted, so I know that they're matched. That's what I have to send to the website. Right, let's get so the response is going to be a JSON thing so I need to convert that as well. All right, UJSON, load the string that it gives me and turn it into one of these special data formats that I can use. So the response.text from that. Right, and then I can say, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done with this website. Close the website. This just means that I can then use requests to access other things. Right, so because you can normally only access one thing at a time. Once I've got that, let's just print what I get from the data. I'm going to use this data to display it on screen. So once I've finished defining the function, I can come down here, all right, and I can say show the dashboard save, and if I run this and I've done it correctly, it should dump a bunch of information out on screen. Once it connects to my network. Okay, so I've got my Mario, I've got my pet number. Okay, and so here's the response. We got pet name Mario, points balance 750. The owner is me, or version 2 of me. I've got a few on tests on the system. There's my pet ID, and my status was successful. And we can see that on my device it's just displaying fetching. So let's change what it shows on the device once it finished fetching all of this data. And so display dot draw image. I'm going to put my happy Mario there. So Mario thumbs up, and I can put that on the top left corner, and that was 180 by 180 if you recall. Right, once I've got that, let's display dot draw text welcome. All right, my pet name, right, that's the text, and oops, that's right, this requires the coordinates at the start. So my x coordinate, let's go halfway along, which was 160. So it might draw over the Mario if there's like 20 pixels of overlap, but at the top. And then I've got my text, and then I want my font, and then colors dot white, colors dot black, display draw text. Right, let's put my points balance on there as well. So at 160 across, we'll put this, I don't know, 100 pixels down, points. Oh, and I forgot to stick an F out the front of that. Otherwise it would actually just say curly braces, pet name, close curly braces. The F says, hey, actually look that thing up for me, and substitute it in there. Let's put my points balance on there as well. So that also needs an F out the front of that string. Font colors dot green, colors dot black. Now, what goes inside the curly braces? What is the variable name? All right, so data is what contains this response here. Points balance is the part that contains my number. So inside these curly braces, what I want is data, square brackets, quotes, points balance. All right, or what I might even just do, just to simplify what's going on here, let's create a variable called points that's just equal to that. And then that means inside here, it's not quite so messy. I can just say points. Save, run, okay? And if that works, then my display should show my Mario. It will say welcome to me with my name, and it should say my points total that are after having successfully logged in. So we're just waiting for it to finish the connection. So it's now fetching, and there's my Mario. It says welcome Mari, and then points 750. So just because of the thing not being able to quite have enough text on there, let's tidy that up. So I can just say, all right, at that same location, let's come down to the next line. So the top line just says welcome, and then the next line can have the pet name. All right, and I might put an exclamation mark on the end. It looks like the points number should fit until it's kind of in the tens of thousands, so that should be okay. So yeah, play around with your welcome screen, get that looking how you want, and then come back to the next video and I'll show you how we can get it connecting to the weather service. So I'll just wait for this to finish, and then I'll end the video, make sure that it works. Connecting to the network. Come on. Okay, we got Mario. We got an IP address. Fetching. Yay, there we go. Welcome, Mario. There's my points balance. Okay, see you on the next video.